Chamath Palihapitiya versus Warren Buffett.
Why are these things happening? It's because there's too many of these prediction markets that can be manipulated this way. Somebody knows something that somebody else doesn't know, and there's no way to arbitrate that. This used to exist in the securities market too. And this is where now I'm going to get a lot of people really upset with me. In 2000, we introduced the law called Reg FD. And what was the point of Reg FD? It was basically that if you're a CFO, you cannot talk to an individual stock manager and tell him something that you then don't tell everybody else. Essentially inside information. That used to be not illegal. I won't say that it was legal. I would just say that used to be not illegal. You call your buddy, he says, hey, how you doing? He goes, man, quarter was a blockbuster. You would go and buy the stock. And starting in the 2000s, it became illegal. And there used to be these networks of information arbitrage that took advantage of this. Now, this is an example of Warren Buffett's returns pre and post Reg FD. Now, what do you see? His returns were double the market returns when this kind of information sharing was legal. And the minute that it became illegal and you had to basically act on the same edge as everybody else, his returns went to the market return. He generated zero alpha. In fact, he probably on the margins lost a little bit. So this is the single best investor in the world. This is what happens when you have information symmetry. So it's just meant to explain that markets thrive when there's asymmetry. Billions and billions of dollars will be made in asymmetry. The prediction markets today, unless they are regulated out of existence or shut down, will look like the stock market pre-Reg FD. And there's nothing we can do except choose not to bet it.
Shots fired, and this really is remarkable. The law changes, and since then, we have almost 2.5 decades of data. Berkshire Hathaway's annualized returns basically matching the S&P. In a roughly 2-decade span prior to that, more than double the S&P. There could be another explanation. Maybe Warren Buffett's unwillingness and inability to understand technology prevented a lot of investments from 2001 on that would have produced outsized returns. Either way, Chamath was definitely right. A lot of people are going to get real mad after this was aired on the All In podcast. And his point about information symmetry versus asymmetry, putting aside the whole illegal insider information thing, it is possible to have symmetrical information, e.g., it's all out in the open, everyone knows the same things or at least has access to the same facts. Yet, to have a meaningfully asymmetrical understanding of what that means. A great example would be Tesla. It's been obvious with publicly available information going back a decade plus that Tesla would win electric vehicles at scale and dominate the 2020s. It's also been obvious since I first started this channel back in 2019 that Tesla had won autonomy based only on publicly available information. Yet the narrative on Tesla and EVs going back a decade plus, the competition's coming, just wait till the big boys arrive, Tesla's in trouble. As I showed in yesterday's video, Stellantis, Ford and GM combined have written down $50 billion or more, trying and failing to catch up to Tesla in terms of electric vehicles. And we're seeing a massive asymmetrical understanding continue to this very day on Tesla and autonomy. Just like the narrative with the competition is coming for electric vehicles, Tesla's in big trouble, just wait till Volkswagen and Toyota and blah, blah, blah make electric vehicles, Tesla's in trouble. We've been hearing the same thing about autonomy. Waymo's well ahead of Tesla. Tesla needs LiDAR, radar, every other sensor on the planet, otherwise they'll never be able to solve autonomy. If you don't have access to insider information, and by the way, even if you do, you shouldn't be acting on it, you can still have a massive advantage if you understand the implications of what you're seeing in a way that others simply do not. This is why there is so much value to be had, an opportunity to discover in discussing, analyzing, debating companies, technologies, ideas, trends in industries. Your goal as an investor should be to keep digging and digging and digging and thinking until you've gained an asymmetrical understanding of an opportunity that others simply do not see. And I generally think that this is possible for anyone of at least moderately above average intelligence. On that note, here's a couple of intelligent individuals via ARK Invest discussing SpaceX, the potential IPO, our possible merger with Tesla, and more.
Elon Musk's SpaceX to consider a merger with Tesla. Do you think that's the right move now, or is it more of a long-term strategic decision?
It may be inevitable over the long term. Right now, the commercial arrangement between the two and previously three entities was for sure Tesla had an agreement with XAI to have Grok available on its cars, and probably a future agreement maybe already scoped out where Grok would feed in as kind of the reasoning engine on for the Optimus robots. So there clearly Tesla needs to buy services from xAI. And Tesla is lining up to become the chip provider to SpaceX for this AI compute opportunity. So Tesla is at the very least going to set up to sell the same chips it's putting in its cars and its data centers to SpaceX to loft into space. And it could be, though it's unclear, that Tesla's solar manufacturing capability will be used to populate the satellites that the AI compute sends into space. And it could be that Tesla is providing intermediate feedstock that then SpaceX is modifying to make it space efficient with, some kind of crystal layering they put on top. Remains to be seen. So given kind of like that, I'm selling in kind of some inputs to this company and then I'm buying outputs from the company. There's probably a lot of efficiency to be gained in just, collapsing the entities into one corporate structure.
So Brett believes, at least over the long term, it's inevitable that SpaceX, which also, for those who don't know, has acquired xAI, which itself acquired X. So SpaceX is now actually SpaceX plus xAI plus X. He believes it's inevitable long term that these three entities join with Tesla. Completely agree with this. It's only a matter of time. Not if, but when. He then points out, as it stands today, Tesla needs to, quote unquote, buy services from xAI. That includes the use of Grok in their vehicles. Musk has also pointed out that in the future, Grok will be overseeing large workforces of Optimus or Optimi, humanoid robots working on projects, doing the project management. Also pointing out that Tesla, once their Terafab is up and running, will be providing the chips, and by the way, also memory, that will go in the SpaceX AI satellites, of which they intend on launching a fleet of 1 million. By the way, that's just for starters. And he also points out that Tesla is likely to be providing solar to SpaceX for their AI satellites. This will result in a situation where the three X's, SpaceX, xAI, and X, collectively are selling inputs to Tesla, Grok, other uses of their AI technology, while Tesla is selling outputs to the three X's, AI chips, potentially solar, and more. Never mind Optimus humanoid robots for building out moon base, Mars base, etc. So obviously, if there's a lot of buying and selling going on between these companies, there's a huge amount of efficiency to be gained by having all of these in a single corporate structure. In other words, combining all of the companies into one entity is an absolute no-brainer. I suspect Brett has some thoughts, not on the if part, he's already said it's inevitable over the long term, but more on the when.
For now, mainly because there's a huge discrepancy between some of the valuation marks in privately traded entities versus publicly traded entities. I think it would not be in Tesla shareholders' best interest to swap equity with the SpaceX xAI merger at this date. A way to think about it is Waymo just raised money, whatever it was, $140 billion. It works out to $40 million per Robotaxi. Waymo has, 3,000 Robotaxis roving around, and they get the equivalent value of $40 million per. And, you can look at their roadmap plans and be like, oh, but that's not, in the future, they're going to have more Robotaxis. And yes, they will have 4,000 next year, maybe 5,000?
3,500, yeah.
Yeah, so it's 35 million per Robotaxi. Well, that means a month's worth of output from Tesla's, from Giga Texas, from the Model Ys, assuming those Model Ys can operate as Robotaxis, is worth $5 trillion. Okay, now that's not actually the way the math will work, because Robotaxis are not worth $40 million each. But once they've taken drivers out from behind the wheel of kind of like their, car that costs, call it $35,000 to produce and can generate, we think, potentially tens of thousands of dollars in operating profit, and that this market is going to scale a lot. And it's pretty clear from the stock price, in the public equity space, Tesla's not getting a lot of credit for that cash flow potential. Elon.
So just recapping where we're at now and what Brett has said so far, ARK Invest believes that Tesla's robotaxis each per year will be doing tens of thousands of dollars of operating income profits. On this point, I agree. I've been over the math many, many times. It's pretty simple. Brett points out that today Tesla's producing a Model Y for, call it $35,000, operating full time. If it does roughly as many miles per year as a full-time taxi or full-time Uber, it's about 50,000 miles per year. If the average cost to the customer per mile is $2 a mile, and Tesla's making a very meager 25% profit per mile, remember they don't have to pay a driver, that's a 50-cent profit per mile times 50,000 miles per year equals a $25,000 profit per year per Robotaxi on extremely conservative assumptions. And this is based on Model Y production costs. The Cybercab is likely to be able to be produced for $25,000. Oh, fancy fucking that. That would mean that a Cybercab could pay its entire cost off in year one in profits on conservative assumptions. Over a decade, easily producing a 10 times return. E.g., Tesla spends $25,000 and that hardware brings in $250,000 in profits over the next decade. Brett then goes on to point out that he does not yet believe that, quote unquote, the stock market seems to appreciate this. On this point, I also agree. A lot of deep-pocketed investors tend to be extremely conservative. I'll believe it when I see it in the latest quarterly results, which brings us to the earlier point about having an asymmetrical understanding based on publicly available information. Either, broadly speaking, investors do not believe that Tesla's robotaxis will be nearly as profitable as they will, or investors don't believe that Tesla will reach the massive scale that they inevitably will, or they believe it's going to take many decades longer than it actually will for Tesla to reach massive scale with their robotaxis. It appears that Brett and myself have a difference of opinion versus the average investor out there. We both seem to believe that the market is not really accurately anticipating the astronomical profits and absurd scale and lightning fast pace of Tesla's robotaxi rollout. If Brett and I are right, the market's not really accurately saying what's about to happen. That might suggest that when the market does realize what's about to happen or is currently happening or has already happened, depending on how long it takes for people to realize what Brett and I seem to see as already inevitable, Tesla's valuation may increase quite dramatically in a relatively short period of time. Don't forget ARK's 2029 fair valuation for Tesla, $2,600 per share, roughly a 6 times increase from where we are today. So Brett's real point here was that if that's the case, it would not be in the best interest of Tesla investors yet for Tesla and SpaceX to fold into each other and become one entity, because Tesla's true underlying value is not broadly being recognized. And he does have a fair point. Hypothetically, let's just say that SpaceX IPOs at $1.5 trillion valuation. And let's say hypothetically at that particular point in time, Tesla's a $1.5 trillion valuation. If SpaceX were to get folded into Tesla at that point in time, the new entity, let's just say, is a $3 trillion valuation, and Tesla shareholders, who now also own SpaceX in proportion to the amount of Tesla shares they have been diluted by 50%. But what if at the time of a potential merger, Tesla was valued at, let's say, $3 trillion and SpaceX 1.5? This would mean far less dilution for Tesla shareholders. This seems to be the point that Brett's getting at here, and it is a fair one.
Said that it'll meaningfully hit the financial statement by the end of this year that, accords with our modeling. And so as a Tesla shareholder, we wouldn't want to exchange, equity for this entity for equity in the combined entity until we're being given some credit for the extraordinarily predictable, but still not successfully underwritten in the price cash flows to come off of the Robotaxi scaling opportunity.
Fair points from Brett. Although I would like to make the counterpoint, just a hypothetical. Let's say that SpaceX IPOs at $1.5 trillion. And at the time, a few months from now, potentially, Tesla's also $1.5 trillion. What if investors today, or at this hypothetical $1.5 trillion valuation, are not fully recognizing SpaceX's growth potential? Imagine if both Tesla and SpaceX grow roughly in line with each other, $3 trillion each, $4.5 trillion each, $6 trillion each, and then eventually fold into one another. Well, we're back to square one, 50% dilution for Tesla shareholders. Of course, I'm not saying that will happen, but it could happen. Another scenario that might play out is SpaceX IPOs at $2 trillion. Investors go absolutely fucking ballistic over this opportunity, realize SpaceX is the only game in town for launch and AI data centers in space. It's also possible that the SpaceX valuation massively outpaces the increase in Tesla's market cap over time, even if investors start to recognize the insane potential and profits of Tesla Robotaxi. I'll tell you what, I would love to have a crystal ball about now. Want more content? Early access, a bunch of perks. Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.